Welcome to the AASHTOWare Bridge Management version 7.1 release video. This release focuses on the Optimizer and BRM management modules and rounds out the software rewrite that was initially delivered with BRM 7.0, which focused on inventory and inspection. The AASHTOWare Bridge Management software's longevity, success, and its BRM 7.1 redesign was only possible because of the dedication, collaboration, and hard work of our users, teams, and contributors. A special thank you to the states that participated in the solicitation and testing phases. Their contributions played a crucial role in ensuring the success and timeliness of the BRM 7.1 release. This video gives a full overview of BRM 7.1. For additional information, you can find other videos on our YouTube channel. First, let's look at some updates to the Filters and Layouts pages to support functionality in 7.1. In the 7.0 release video, we looked at asset filters, which are used on asset listing pages to filter the results displayed in the listing grid. New to 7.1 are Programs and Projects filters, which are used on various pages, such as the Project List, Program List, and Funding Sources pages, to filter results in those table grids. There are two ways to create filters in BRM 7.1, Filters UI and Filters SQL. The Settings, General Configuration, Pages and Dashboards, Filters UI page allows you to build a filter by selecting fields via the UI. The fields you can select from are dependent on the filter context selected for a given filter. The Settings, General Configuration, Pages and Dashboards, Filter SQL page allows you to write a SQL statement for a filter. Both pages allow you to indicate whether a filter is shared with all BRM users. Similarly, in the 7.0 release video, we looked at asset layouts, which are used on asset listing pages to determine the columns displayed in the table grid. New to 7.1 are Programs and Projects layouts, which are used on various pages, such as the Project List, Program List, and Funding Sources pages, to determine the columns displayed in those table grids. The Settings, General Configuration, Pages and Dashboards, Layouts page allows you to create a layout. Like Programs and Projects filters, the fields you can select from when creating a Programs and Projects layout are dependent on the layout context selected for a given layout. Next, let's look at General Condition Rating, or GCR Deterioration, in 7.1. The General Condition Ratings are tracked on the Bridges, Inspection, Condition page, and consist of the following fields: Deck Condition Rating, Superstructure Condition Rating, Substructure Condition Rating, Culvert Condition Rating, Bridge Railing Condition Rating, Bridge Railing Transitions Condition Rating, Bridge Bearings Condition Rating, and Bridge Joints Condition Rating. Each of these fields holds a value 0 through 9, or not applicable. When GCR Deterioration is the selected mode, GCR Deterioration is applied when running bridge-level LCCA, or Overall Program Optimizations, to estimate the future state of the general condition ratings for a bridge. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, GCR Deterioration Profiles page allows you to create deterioration profiles for each of the 8 general condition ratings. Each profile indicates the transition time, in years, that a bridge can remain in each of the rating states before deteriorating to the next state. One profile per general condition rating, or category, is set as the default for that category and is applied to all bridges that do not have a bridge-level GCR deterioration profile assigned. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, Assign GCR Deterioration Profiles page allows you to assign a GCR deterioration profile other than the agency-level default profile to a given bridge. Now, let's look at NBI Deterioration in 7.1. Like GCR Deterioration, NBI Deterioration is also applied when running bridge-level LCCA, or Overall Program Optimizations, to determine the future state of the general condition ratings for a bridge. However, NBI Deterioration determines the future state of a general condition rating by deteriorating specified element condition state values, which are captured for an inspection event on the Bridges Inspection Condition page. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, Elements page allows you to define the NBI relative weight for each element, which is used when calculating NBI conversion. It also allows you to define the element category, which is used in the NBI conversion profiles. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, NBI Conversion Profiles page allows you to create conversion profiles for each of the 8 general condition ratings. Each profile indicates the applicable element categories of the element condition states that are considered in the calculation. Additionally, the profile indicates the generic upper limits for each element condition state that correspond to each NBI rating value 0 through 9. One profile per general condition rating can be set as the default for that resulting GCR and is applied to all bridges that do not have a bridge-level NBI conversion profile assigned. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, Assign NBI Conversion Profiles page allows you to assign an NBI conversion profile other than the agency-level default profile to a given bridge. The Bridges Inspection Condition page allows you to see the NBI conversion values for each general condition rating. The NBI conversion value is displayed next to the drop-down. If the NBI conversion value is too different from the user-selected drop-down value, it is displayed in bold. You are also able to see the assigned NBI conversion profiles for the given bridge and to calculate NBI values using a different NBI conversion profile selection. Next, let's look at benefits. Benefits define the changes that are applied to a bridge's elements or any bridge event types or highway fields. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, Benefit Groups page allows you to create groupings of benefits, which can then be linked to actions. This includes changing element values, removing an element, replacing an element with one or more other elements, creating a protective system, changing a field value, such as a general condition rating, or changing the final value of an assessment type performed for a bridge. Let's look at actions. Actions are work that can be applied to improve a bridge. Actions are used in various places in BRM, such as work candidates, LCCA policies, network policies, and project categories. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, Actions page allows you to create and modify actions. Actions have a monetary cost to perform the action, as well as one or more benefit groups that are applied when performing the action. Bridge actions can also optionally indicate deferment of additional actions being performed after the given action is performed. Simplified action records can be created for non-bridge asset types to then be used with work candidates for those action types. Next, let's look at utility, which is an overall value between 0 and 100 that is calculated for a bridge based on defined weighted criteria. The delta, or change in utility, is calculated throughout BRM to determine the value of performing a specific action on a specific bridge. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, Utility page allows you to define the default utility tree for your agency. Each criterion within the tree has a weight, which is used relative to its sibling criteria. It also has a base value type, which indicates where the base value for the criterion is determined. These include an assessment type final value, an advanced formula, the health index calculation for a specified element or element group, a field value, or a life cycle cost calculated value. A type of parent is used to indicate that the criterion has child criteria. Each criterion can also be scaled to a value 0 to 100 so that all criteria can be compared. Criteria can be scaled using manual scaling or an advanced formula. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, Utility Weight Profiles page allows you to make alternative versions of the default utility tree by specifying different weighted values for each criterion in the tree. Utility weight profiles are used when creating programs and LCCA plans. Let's look at element deterioration in 7.1. The Settings, Modeling Configuration Elements page allows you to indicate which elements model deterioration. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, Element Deterioration Profiles page allows you to define the deterioration for each individual element by indicating the median years in each condition state. Element deterioration is used to estimate the future state of an element, as well as when calculating NBI conversion values. One profile can be set as the default for the agency. The charts on the page allow you to see the deterioration for each element based on environment and including or excluding a protective system. The Deterioration Forecast tab allows you to see the Element Health Index calculation by year for the element. Next, let's look at project categories. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, Project Categories page allows you to categorize groups of actions and is used to optionally allocate program funding by category. It also allows you to set a default filter and/or a default layout for each category, which are used on the project list page. Let's look at Network Policies. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, Network Policies page allows you to create a decision tree of actions consisting of a main action and potential follow-up actions that may be performed together or separately on a bridge. Each action within the decision tree has one or more rule builder conditions, which define when the action is considered for a bridge, based on criteria like health index value, element condition state, parameterized field value, or bridge age. Network policies are used when running bridge-level LCCA or overall program optimizations to determine which decision trees of actions are considered. Let's look at Lifecycle Cost Analysis, LCCA Policies. Lifecycle Cost Analysis assesses the total cost of a bridge throughout its entire lifespan, including maintenance and replacement costs. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, LCCA Policies page allows you to create an LCCA policy, which is a set of eligible actions that may be applied to the LCCA analysis for the bridge. Each action has one or more rule builder conditions, which define when the action is applied for a bridge, based on criteria like health index value, element condition state, parameterized field value, utility value, or bridge age. The policy should include one replacement action, which the LCCA calculation uses to determine the replacement cost of the bridge. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, Assign LCCA Policies page allows you to assign an LCCA policy to a given bridge. This defines which actions are considered when performing a life cycle cost analysis for the bridge. Next, let's look at Subdivision Profiles. The Settings, Modeling Configuration, Subdivision Profiles page allows you to create subdivisions that have their own distinct performance measures or funding within a program. Once the profile is saved, you are able to define which parameterized database fields for the bridge, inspection, or highway record are used to create each subdivision within the profile. Let's look at funding sources. The Projects, Funding Sources page allows you to define the funding sources used by your agency to fund your projects, as well as the yearly target amounts for each source. Once a funding source has been saved, you can see which programs and projects are associated with that funding source. Next, let's look at projects. A project is a collection of bridges with specific actions being performed on each bridge. The Projects Project List page allows you to manually create and manage projects. Projects are also automatically created when running the Program Optimizer. When creating a new project, you can define the project's current status, start date, and end date, which are used to determine whether the project is available for selection on other pages in BRM. The Bridges and Work tab, which is displayed after initial save, allows you to manage the bridges and actions that are added to a project. After first defining the desired bridges, you can then view a list of actions and work candidates that BRM has determined will benefit each of those bridges. You can see the delta, or change, in the bridge's calculated utility value that each action provides, as well as the estimated cost of each action. This is determined using the benefits that were added to each action. You can select the desired actions for each bridge and add them to the project. Once one or more bridges are added, you can view a map of the bridges in the project. The Cost tab allows you to review the costs for a project, which are calculated based on the actions that have been added to the Bridges and Work tab. The Management tab allows you to see and configure which programs a project is added to indicate the funding sources associated with the project and to track milestones for the project. When adding a project to a program, you can indicate a target year for the project within the program, as well as whether or not the project is frozen to the program, meaning it must be respected when running the optimizer on that program. When adding a funding source, you are able to indicate a target date and target amount for each source within the project. The Analysis tab allows you to see how specific actions added to the project affect the bridges to which those actions are being applied for a specific program, program scenario, and bridge. This includes the condition and utility values for the bridge. It also allows you to select existing work candidates from the bridge to see how those affect the bridge, as well as to focus on the effects on a single bridge element. Finally, you are able to see the breakout of the effect on utility, as well as the health index deterioration results. Next, let's look at importing projects into BRM. The Projects Import Project page allows you to import projects into BRM using either an XML or XLS file. You can first download a template of either file type to be filled out and imported into BRM. If importing an XLS template, you can bulk import multiple projects at once. Let's look at combining existing projects in BRM. The Projects Combine Projects page allows you to combine multiple existing projects into a single project record. This moves all of the bridges and work data from the other selected projects into the single project record. Next, let's look at splitting an existing project into multiple projects in BRM. The Projects Split Project page allows you to split out the bridges and work from a single project into multiple new project records. Let's look at programs. A program is a collection of projects with specific constraints, such as budget or performance, and that operates for a predetermined period of time. The Programs Program List page allows you to manually create and manage programs. When creating a new program, you can define the program's current status, start year, and end year. Additionally, you can define the structure weight formula, which is used to calculate a weighted value of importance for each bridge within the program. You can also define a required minimum cost for the work that can be added to the program for a given bridge. Finally, you can define a bridge filter, which indicates which bridges are considered in the program. The Configuration tab allows you to configure additional settings for the program. You can indicate an NBI Deterioration method, which uses either the NBI Conversion Profiles or GCR Deterioration Profiles mentioned earlier in this video, to calculate deterioration for the condition values on the bridges in the program. Additionally, you can set the inflation estimation method for the bridge if you wish to include inflation in the cost calculations, as well as an additional direct cost to be added to any actions selected by the program optimizer. Next, you can indicate which of the existing network policies are considered when selecting actions for the program. You can also indicate which of the existing utility weight profiles is used to calculate utility values. Finally, you can indicate which, if any, of the existing subdivision profiles are used in tracking performance measures and funding for the program. The Scenarios tab allows you to create multiple scenarios within the program settings you have already configured. Each scenario can have its own element deterioration profile, as well as having its own funding values. Let's look at setting performance measures for an existing program. The Programs Performance Measures page allows you to define which criteria are used to evaluate a given program scenario. These criteria include the general condition ratings, health index value, percent good, fair, or poor of bridges by count or by surface area, and utility calculation. You can also set overall performance constraints of minimum, maximum, or target values. If your program has a subdivision profile selected, you can also set performance constraints by subdivision. Next, let's look at funding allocation for an existing program. The Program's Funding Allocation page allows you to configure a program's funding sources and amounts, as well as to distribute funds among the program's project categories, if defined. The available funds for each year show you how much money can be allocated to each year of the program. You can then set maximum funding amounts for each year and for each project category, if configured. Let's look at program optimization. The program's Program Optimization page allows you to run optimizations on existing programs using the configuration, performance measures, and funding allocation settings you have selected for that program. When adding a new optimization request to the queue, you can indicate whether to keep assigned projects within the program, whether to respect projects frozen to other programs, and whether to respect Lifecycle Cost Analysis (LCCA) plans for bridges within the program. When an optimization is in progress or has completed its run, you can see updates on the Output tab. You can use the Program Messages and Log section to troubleshoot any issues with the optimization run. After the optimization is complete, you can see the newly created projects for the program in the Assigned Projects section. After an optimization is complete, you can also access the more detailed Alternatives log on the Alternatives log tab. This log shows you each network policy action that was considered for each bridge, for each year, as well as a reason why it was or was not selected. Next, let's look at program results for a program that has already had a program optimization run. The Program Results page allows you to review the results of a program optimization via a series of charts. The performance charts on the page use the performance measures you selected for the program. If you selected a subdivision profile for the program, you can see the results by program subdivision for some of the charts. Let's look at the Executive Summary. The Program's Executive Summary page allows you to review the results of a program optimization via high-level charts. In addition to the standard charts, you are able to create and configure additional charts via the Settings, Modeling Configuration, Executive Summary Charts page. Chart types include bar, column, condition flow chart, financial, line, pie, and stacked column charts. Next, let's look at the Scenario Explorer. The program's Scenario Explorer page allows you to visually compare the performance of a program's multiple optimized scenarios. The performance filter uses the performance measures you selected for the program. If you selected a subdivision profile for the program, you can see the results by program subdivision. Let's look at Program Comparison. The program's Program Comparison page allows you to compare the projects, meaning the bridges and work, of two optimized program scenarios. This page breaks down the work into the categories of same in both programs, same bridge and work different years, same structure different work, unique to Program 1, and unique to Program 2. It displays the data in both tabular and graphical formats. Next, let's look at Life Cycle Cost Analysis, LCCA Plans. An LCCA plan is a potential future path of care for a bridge with accompanying work and condition predictions. It is intended to be utilized for the most important or complex bridges in your inventory so that they can be analyzed individually before being added to the overall program optimization. The Analysis LCCA Plans page allows you to create and manage LCCA plans for a bridge, as well as to run LCCA optimizations. You can create a new plan from scratch or by starting with the work selected for the bridge as part of an existing program scenario. When creating a new plan, you can indicate the start year and analysis length for the plan. You can indicate the inflation estimation method if you wish to include inflation in the cost calculations. You can indicate an NBI Deterioration method, which uses either the NBI Conversion Profiles or GCR Deterioration Profiles mentioned earlier in this video, to calculate deterioration for the condition values on the bridges in the program. You can also indicate which of the existing utility weight profiles is used to calculate utility values, as well as which element deterioration profile is used to deteriorate the individual elements. Finally, you can indicate which inspection event for the bridge is used for the initial condition values for the bridge. You can indicate which plan is considered the current plan for a given bridge, which is the plan that can be taken into account when running a program optimization that includes the bridge. Once an LCCA plan is created, the Actions tab allows you to manually add actions to the plan. You can add actions from a list of all actions, a list of work candidates for the given bridge, a list of all network policies, or a list of current projects. When adding an action, you can indicate whether the action is locked, meaning it cannot be overwritten by running the LCCA optimizer, as well as indicating the year for the action. The Optimization tab allows you to run optimizations on existing LCCA plans, using the configuration settings you have selected for that plan. When adding a new optimization request to the queue, you can indicate the optimization start year, the minimum deferment in years for subsequent actions, which of the existing network policies to include in the optimization, and which of the existing LCCA policies to include in the optimization. You are able to save the results as the existing LCCA plan or as a new LCCA plan record. When an optimization has completed its run, you can download a log for that run. You can also see any automatically selected actions by returning to the Actions tab. The Results tab allows you to view graphs with data from the optimization run, including lifecycle cost, performance measures, and element data. Once a plan exists that is set as the current plan for the bridge, you are able to freeze the plan to all or to specific program scenarios via the Scenarios tab. This means the LCCA plan actions are taken into account when running optimizations for those scenarios. Once multiple plans exist, you can compare those plans via the Compare Plans tab. You can see charts for performance measures, timeline, and lifecycle cost. If the selected plans do not have similar configuration data, you are not able to compare the plans. Next, let's talk about utility value calculations in BRM. The Analysis Utility Value page allows you to see a detailed utility value calculation for a single bridge. The Analysis Bulk Utility page allows you to see both utility and health index calculations for multiple selected bridges. It also allows you to see utility calculated using a specified weight profile. Let's talk about work analysis. The Analysis Work Analysis page allows you to view the effects that existing work candidates would have on a given bridge. You can multi-select from existing work candidates to see the effect on bridge health index, on a specific element, on utility, and on the bridge deterioration calculations. Let's talk about comparison groups. The Analysis Comparison Groups page allows you to compare the utility values for different groupings of work candidates for a given bridge. Once you have created multiple groups, you can choose which work candidates within each group to compare, and then you can see the effects on each element, condition, utility value, and deterioration results. This concludes our overview of BRM 7.1. If you have questions or need additional support, please visit AASHTOWareBRM.org or reach out to us through Jira Service Management or by email at brm@mayview.com.